Bellefontaine, and you're listening to the HomeBuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820. And I'm going to start off by saying a special thank you to Devin Tingle. He's our producer today, and he makes everything sound so great. We kind of missed him last week, but he's here today. And truthfully, before we start recording this show, we always say a lot of bad words. So I'm confessing everything. I think he's going to end up having a whole bunch of blackmail stuff on us sometime in the very near future.
Yeah.
In the studio with us, we got Olin Eargle and Patrick Loftus. And then remotely, we got Joey Mathews. Joey, if you don't mind, start us off. Give us a hello and tell us what's going on in that mortgage market world.
Oh, hey. Joey Mathews, the VA loan nerd, NMLS 1230694. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. You can email me at the show at thehomebuyer'shour.com or find me on social media as at the VA loan nerd. No, markets, I mean, ISM PMI came in a little bit hot today, so we saw a little bit of bond sell-off.
What
ISM
were those
PMI,
acronyms?
He's going after my triggers. That's always good.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's essentially it's inventory and services deliveries, right? They have been tracking at 47 over the last few months, but the new orders came in at 54. They were expecting 52, so we have seen some sell-off in the bond market and again in the MBS market, mortgage-backed security market. It really hasn't affected us too much in the short term, but the futures trading on the treasuries has jumped significantly. So yeah, so that's really all we got until Wednesday of next week, when we see Wednesday of next week being September 13th, when CPI data, core inflation data comes in again. So that's all we got. I mean, hey, we're just living the dream here in mortgage world. At the end of the day, rates really don't matter. It's, do you love the house and can you buy the house? Period.
That's always exactly the case, isn't it? And then,
yep.
You know, I'm going to save Olin for last. Patrick, if you don't mind, give us an introduction on you, because we're going to kind of focus on you a little bit today.
Tak.
I do what I can.
Cześć. Dobry dzień.
Oh, my goodness.
Moje imię Patrick. I'm sorry, this is what I got in my left ear is the Polish station. So I,
that was Polish?
For a second. Yeah, no, it wasn't
I
gibberish.
thought it was Pig Latin or
Right.
gibberish, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
Or malarkey. I speak malarkey. I know that. So.
Well, we've all heard that. No question about it. Okay, back again in English. Hi, my name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer. I am with a law firm called Loftus Law, very creatively named. Find me on social media at Loftus_law. You can spell Loftus LOF like Frank, T like Tom, US like Sam, _law. That's Instagram. On TikTok, find me at Loftus Law. I got there first, no underscore on that one.
Sounds good. And Olin of At Properties, and see if I remember this right, Olin sells Chicago.
That's
Is that
it.
still good?
Yep.
Give us a lowdown. Give us some contact information about you and where do you operate mostly?
All right, cool. So local in Chicago and the surrounding villages, and At Properties Christie's, going on my 13th year.
13, that's cool.
I know. And almost in Chicago, 2 decades. 312-771-1328 is my phone number, and like you said, Olin Sell Chicago is the brand. That's Instagram and YouTube and my website.
All right. And some of the stuff I want to talk about today, and Joey kind of hit it lightly, you know, about the market and where we're going. I mean, we're getting into the fall right now. Kids are going back to school or have already gone back to school. This is typically our slowdown period, all right, when it comes with it. And but I still believe in always the factor of choice, all right? And how do, you know, I guess the biggest thing is, you know, the goal of any business, including mine, is to keep our people busy, all right? That's our main goal, is to keep working. And in this country, the freedom of choice is a big deal. So it's always going to be why. You know, I hate to sound like a 2-year-old, but why? You know, why do I need to do this? Well, who should I choose? Why should I choose you? All right. And we were chatting a little bit about attorneys earlier and engagement letters. And it just started popping in my head, like, what are some of the things that a client, a home buyer, would be looking for when they're reading through, and I get it, 90% don't read through it, but when they read through these engagement letters, what are some of the good and the bad things that somebody should be watching out for?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you talk about why and it sounding like a 2-year-old,
It's not a bad thing.
well, look, I would frame it somewhat differently in the sense that why is kind of the driving motivation behind most of what we do, right? Like, why is it? If you can't answer that question and have that answer be satisfactory, you start to get into a situation where you're not aligned. You're suffering in some way.
Joey, Charlie, and Olin, get ready. We're going to be on the table with that comment, because we're all going to defend our companies too.
Sure. So, let's say that you've decided to retain my services. I've sent you my engagement letter, and you're reading through it. It's not long. So if you do choose to read it, we're not talking about it's not the Apple terms and conditions
Oh my
where
goodness.
it's a 990-page document take you 3 years to read through. It's not even 2 pages. So a couple things I would try to focus on if I were a consumer looking at it, and hopefully not too many of my clients are listening because they're going to start really scrutinizing, but that's all right. There's no gotchas in there, right? So look for the price, right? Whatever price I promised you on the phone or via email, confirm that I didn't make a mistake. I'm not infallible. Things can happen. And I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. There's no bamboozles here. Whatever I promised you, I'm going to charge you. That's what I'm going to charge you. But moreover, I think what's important to understand in any agreement really, but certainly my agreement, is what things I'm saying I'm not going to be doing. So a big
That's
one.
important.
Sure. So a big one is, I definitely want to set the expectation as far as what is my review of condominium documents. I'm going to probably end up getting anywhere between 100 and 300 pages of condominium documents. Am I reading them line by line? Absolutely not. I'm looking for the highlights. I'm looking for things that generally my clients are going to find either objectionable, interesting, whatever it is. Are there pet restrictions? Are there rental restrictions? What are they saying about special assessments? What do the financials look like? Are they contributing a sufficient amount each month, each year toward the reserves? What do the reserves look like?
Do you get copies of the reserve studies too?
So for a larger building, they may have a reserve study. I do ask for it, and on occasion I do get it. So it really just depends. Do they have it? How recent is it? If it's a 10-year-old reserve study, I suppose I can extrapolate some things from it, but there's a good chance they'll have deviated it in one way or another, because any forward-looking document is in some ways trying to predict the future, which none of us are capable of doing. It's giving your best analysis. I don't want to say guess. It's not guess. It's an engineer's analysis of this is how long this is meant to last. Now, if the roof ends up lasting 5 years longer than what was estimated, I don't think that most associations are going to start, grabbing some reserves and replacing a perfectly good roof, for example. So a 10, 15-year-old reserve study will be less, I think, relevant in terms of the evaluation than, say, a 3-year-old reserve study. But I don't mind having a reserve study to take a look at, because it's going to tell me what is at least recommended in terms of this is how much you should begin to increase what the assessments are in order to cover the future capital improvements. And that is going to tell me if they're saying, hey, you're at 350 now, you should be at 650 within the next 5 years, that tells you some kind of story, doesn't it? So yeah, if I ask for it and they have it and they're willing to give it, once in a while I'll have an association that says, I'm not giving that to you. It's only available to current unit owners. And Section 22.1 of the Condominium Property Act does not specify that the buyer is entitled to that. So it's one less piece of data to evaluate, and we have to take into account that.
That could be a big number.
Well, sure, but it's not like we don't already have a lot to evaluate. If it's an association that the size, if it's an association that's large enough that they would have, let's face it, the reserve study is not cheap. Most smaller associations aren't going to find enough value with it to spend the money to get a reserve study. So if you're at that level, you probably got rules and regs. You're definitely gonna have some kind of financials. A budget is something just about every association is gonna have. I say just about. I mean, you see a lot of stuff, especially. I've seen, the smallest association I've seen is 2 units. Now you can imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, you've got the president, you've got the vice president, and then they'll have to split secretary and treasurer. So that was a weird one. Usually it's 3 is the minimum in terms of the amount, but you can have a 2-unit condo. Literally, seen it happen. So. The smaller the association, typically the less formal they're going to handle things, and it makes sense. Are they allowed to do it that way? Legally speaking, the Condominium Property Act doesn't distinguish between smaller and larger associations, so they're supposed to handle things in the same manner. But I mean, we have to look at what the reality is, and it is that it's different.
I lived in a 33-unit building. It was 3 stories, 11 stories on each floor, and
11 units.
11 units. I stand corrected. Thank you. And they had a big roof up on there. You take 11 units and a roof span that covers that. You're looking at $600,000 to $1 million to replace that roof, and it was a thermoplastic roof up in there. If you don't prepare for that over a 20, 30-year period, you try to hit somebody for 1/33rd of $1 million, it's still a buttload of money. I think those are big things like that. Yes, I said it.
I'm not going to repeat that. This is
Thank
being
you.
recorded. That word will be yours forever. You've got to have some foresight when it comes to that, because I think that in general, people, and let's face it, you go, well, the association. Well, who is the association? The association's you and all the other unit owners, and the board is the group of people you've elected to actually do the work
And make the decisions for you.
I mean, that's the mandate, right? So the fact that they're also unit owners means that their motivations are similar to yours, and that nobody really wants to pay any more than they have to on a monthly assessment, because a lot of people don't really fully understand what that monthly assessment is going toward.
I did sidetrack you. I'm sorry. Obviously, the world's about me, right?
We can go all day on this stuff. I mean,
I'm sure.
there's a million tangents.
And I have a question. All of that you just mentioned for the engagement letter is about condos. So do you change your engagement letter if it's a single family purchase or if it's a multi-unit? Because obviously you're not digging that deeply.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So it doesn't change. It's more of like, if you're buying a condominium, then this applies, and so you can kind of disregard it. There's also some stuff about financing in there that if you're buying cash can be disregarded. Now, then again, if I leave that in and someone's buying cash and they go, well, what's this stuff about financing? Oh, I can tell this person has read it. Whereas if I did leave it in, and
that's your little test for them.
It could be. I mean, that would be me trying to act clever. In most instances, it's not me being clever. It's me just kicking out the same letter every time, because that's just the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. Well, you and I have a similar thing. Mine's not called an engagement letter, but I do send something to new buyers if they're working with me, because you and I both don't get paid until closing. So I do spell out at the very beginning what all of my duties are and what I am able to do. And I do bring up certain things about this might happen, this will happen, just to kind of give ideas and expectations. It's definitely nothing for them to sign, and it's nothing about payment, because as a buyer's agent, you're paid by the seller. But I think it's nice that you do send that. I don't think every attorney does.
Really?
Or sometimes they...
You don't think every
I'm also
attorney...
not-
I know for a fact that not every attorney does.
And we're not copied on it, so we don't know if they do or not, but I don't think they do. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised by that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that no one's going to tell you have to do, right? So there are certain things that you have to do. Like, you have 5 business days to kick out an attorney review and inspection letter. So that's a have to, right? But no one's really going to tell you, like, the deal will happen the exact same way by and large, whether or not I send out my engagement letter. Now, the first thing that your malpractice coverage is going to tell you is that we would really like you to have an engagement letter, because that is really going to help us if there is some kind of dispute later on, and that coverage it gets invoked, and I take that to mean I should be sending out an engagement letter.
I would too.
But okay, fine. So that's the defensive boundary that's creating for myself, which is to say that I want to make sure I'm protecting myself. But
Yep.
also, setting boundaries is such an important thing that I think goes overlooked in many instances, and that is, what is it that I'm committing to do for you, and what is it that I'm not committing to do for you? I think that's extremely important in most contexts, as far as setting expectations. I think
Expectations are huge to me.
Sure.
You know that.
Which I think you could also describe as setting boundaries, whether it's a defensive, an offensive boundary, an internal boundary, however you want to characterize a certain boundary. But, moreover, okay, so this is what I'm committing to do. This is specifically what you need to understand that I'm not committing to do, i.e., reading the condo documents, governing documents and disclosures line by line. But also, what is an appropriate time to contact me? Everyone's got my cell phone number. So if they want to call me at 10 p.m. because they just, they're odd hours or whatever on a Friday night, I like to set the expectation, or
That's smart.
AKA boundary.
Yep.
Look, my hours are between, let's say, 9 and 5. If there is something that's urgent and you need to contact me via phone, you can text me. And if it is, to my opinion, an urgent matter, I may communicate with you during that time frame. Now, you're always welcome to email me at whatever time, whatever wild thought comes into your head. Just understand the response is not going to come until the business hours begin. Mm-hmm. So I think, because otherwise you're going to get people who, and this is still going to happen regardless, but you will get people who email you at 4:30 on a Friday, and then at 9:30 Monday morning they're going to go, why haven't you taken care of this? And it's like, you can't count any of those hours between the half hour after you sent and the half hour. So it's been an hour. I know it doesn't feel like an hour. It's not been a physical hour, but it's been a business hour.
That makes sense.
But no, I mean, and it still does happen, and lawyers are great about that, because it doesn't cost them anything to send that follow up. They know that I probably haven't dealt with it. They should know. But it's more of a, I want to look good for all the people on my side of the transaction, and you go, okay, fine,
And I bet most of your business comes from the real estate agent community. Is that a fair statement?
I should measure it better, but it's probably, I don't know, 60-40, 50-50.
Really?
I have
interesting.
I have a lot of repeat clients.
Okay.
Who come back to me after I've helped them buy or sell a place.
That says a lot.
Well, I'm usually pretty excited, grateful, whatever it is. It certainly saves me on my marketing budget. But
I was just about to ask you about your marketing. Does that do a lot for you, like all the ads that you take out? Do you feel like you get calls?
So I don't take out a lot of ads. I do a lot on social media. Now, in terms of a cost, it doesn't cost me anything dollars and cents. It certainly costs me the time that goes into it, because I do that myself. It's TBD. I've only been doing really, so listen, I've been really hitting the social media marketing maybe 6 months, not quite even. Like, I didn't really start that until
It looks
March.
great. You should be proud of it. I like it.
I am proud of it.
Yeah.
You're getting a good message out.
I've been getting a lot of positive feedback. Now, has that translated into ROI? I don't necessarily have a good way of measuring it, other than, if you really want to know how the sausage is made, it's the way I utilize social media. Number one, establish a reputation. It allows me to present myself to people in a way that lets me demonstrate who I am, what my knowledge, to try to, get to that know, perhaps even to that like or that trust. And, the medium is one that I don't have to pay for. But it also allows me to make contact with the folks that we've had on the show. It allows me to tag them. Everyone likes to get tagged. Everyone, that's free exposure for them. However many people, if they said something particularly clever, I might get 1,500 views on a popular Instagram reel. That's pretty darn good. Now, it's not as good as some of the engagement I would get on TikTok. Actually, I get less engagement on TikTok on my Loftus Law.
Wow.
My side hustle, I get tons of engagement on that one, but that's a different story entirely.
You know what I've learned about social media, and I wonder if yours is the same, is that you could have a nice professional video, like a talking head at the camera explaining something, and you get a significant amount of likes on it. And it's probably people who are following you or in your network, and they want to see what you're talking about. But I've even noticed that it's the one-offs. It's whenever you're sitting in your car and you film something, or it's like your videos where it's after this podcast, then you can talk about that. That's where you get the most engagement, because you're being real and people get to see who the real Patrick is, who the real Olin, who the real Charlie and Joey. I think that's the
Well,
most
who do you want the real Olin to be?
Well, I don't want to be only
I think
a
it's a
talking
legitimate
head.
question.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. Everybody has their finite amount of knowledge in their business, and then they try to learn and know a lot of other businesses outside of that. And as a broker, you can throw a rock and hit another broker in Chicago. So we all
There's
know
a gazillion of them.
we know how
And
easy
four.
that is. So what makes me stand out? Am I honestly better at this or this or this? Maybe. Am I a better communicator? Am I better at this or that? There's a million ways that people can choose their agent or their attorney. But if you see that person speaking honestly and thoughtfully and candidly
And intelligently.
in their car, right between an appointment, they're just sitting there and they're just like, "Hey guys, I'm just letting you know," and it's real and honest, that might actually hit somebody in a different way than if they just saw a talking head. And Patrick, what you do, I think is smart, because you do all of the follow-ups, and you get to have people see the answers to the questions that maybe didn't get answered, and you're answering even more of that at the end. I find it very helpful.
Well, I appreciate that. Olin, the thing you're hitting on that, to me, it can be boiled down to one word, and that is authenticity.
That's it.
What I see, and look, I've already said I'm doing social media for 6 months. So, in another 6 months, I'm probably going to say, forget everything I said 6 months ago. It's actually this. But I don't think it's ever going to change. The authenticity is as priority number one if you're going to market yourself really anywhere, but especially on social media.
Yeah.
I find that, so to me, anything that starts to look like an ad is automatically going to get swiped off the person's screen. That person's screen is valuable real estate. When we talk about location, in terms of real estate, a person's phone, we all love our phones.
Mm-hmm.
I love my phone, and whatever's happening on my screen, it's consuming my time, and my time is the most valuable resource that I have. And so, how much of my time do I want to spend looking at ads? This much, and I'm making a zero for those who are listening and not watching. So as soon as something looks like an ad, I'm out, and that, I think, is the majority of people consuming social media. And
I
so,
actually look for the sponsor thing. I'm out of that.
yeah. Well,
Do you know how the Instagram algorithm works? That every
hell no.
fourth thing is an ad usually?
I
If
did
you're
not know
scrolling
that.
through, it's very close to almost being every fourth time you swipe, it's an ad or it's a sponsor.
and what happens that fourth thing?
That's exactly
it
right.
gets swiped
So
right
you don't
off.
want to be that one that they swipe by.
Right.
Yeah.
So for example, when I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see that someone's, selling something on the TikTok shop, gets swiped right off. If I see an ad, swiped right off. I want to get to the stuff, right? So, do I want to be an ad? Do I want to be a sponsored, or do I want to be the stuff? I'm trying to be the stuff. How do I be the stuff? Authenticity. And so, how do I be authentic? I be me. And I just say stuff that I think is important, that I think is relevant for this particular niche. It's not meant to be a big niche. I'm not meant to go viral with most of this stuff, because the vast majority of people on Instagram aren't there for, serious, hard-hitting real estate talk.
That's true.
Joe, I'm going to switch over to Joey a little
Sorry.
bit. No, this
I
is
can
all
talk
good.
about this stuff for just
Because it's
ages.
Well, he's big on
important. There's
social,
good
too.
and bad in every profession that's here.
Yeah.
And how do you know that? And that's kind of where I was going with all this stuff. And Joey, I guess I want to ask you now. What percentage of your business is from the real estate agent community?
Oh gosh, maybe like 20%.
Really?
Give or take. Yeah, no, it really isn't a lot or a little. I have no idea what you're going
Now,
with.
and I will tell you this: my business is about the same. However, I do know that 80% of all referrals do come, or for home inspectors, do come from the real estate agent community. All right.
Yeah.
So if
I know that
80%
I'm
of
not
yours
alone.
is, I apologize, Joey. 80% of yours is direct to consumer. Then, what can you tell or show or prove or whatever to somebody to tell them to go with you as opposed to somebody else? I mean, we don't. I'm assuming that people really don't interview a bunch of mortgage brokers, do they?
I mean, not really. It's a triangle of trust, right? So a lot of my business, keep in mind, I was a firefighter, I was a Marine, I was, goofy. I was all those things. So I just have a lot of weird connections, and it's literally across the country for me. I've lived a very weird life, and I have made a lot of friends in a lot of places, and I take advantage of it, right? It sounds terrible. I am able to capitalize on it because I build trust with people all over the place. Most of my business comes off of referrals, especially in the veteran community. Because you save things, and every once in a while you may pick up a new referral partner on the realtor side in my situation, usually for VA lending, because I always get brought in when it comes to realtor referrals. I usually get brought in when crap has already happened, and now I'm here to save it, right? I'll have like 7 days to close something. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I really wish I could have got this a long time ago.
Yeah, you're the
and then I have to
firefighter.
close it.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
There you go. Hey,
Put the
look at
fires
that.
out.
That was one of those too. And I feel like that's all I do sometimes. I literally have 2 that I got from Navy Fed that they screwed up. Sorry, if they're a sponsor, which they're not. You guys screwed something up twice, and now I have to fix it for you. But yeah,
I've learned so
wait, hold
much
up,
from
hold
you
up,
on this
wait.
VA stuff as well. And, I could tell when I see somebody else going through a mortgage stuff and they're saying we need this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw, I want to say BS so bad, but I'm going to throw the malarkey flag out on this thing like there's no tomorrow. And that's when I kind of send them over to you. And I'm thankful that you at least talk to them, even though they may or may not, most likely not, become a client of yours. And I'm sorry, Patrick, I talked over you.
No, that's fine. I think that your point was more important than the one I'm about to make. I do think though that the malarkey flag is probably polka dotted.
It is.
So there's something that Joey talked about that the 3 of us, we know what he's referring to, but I believe it was discussed before we went on air, and that was where he said I was goofy.
Oh,
now,
boy.
I don't think what he meant is that he's a goofy guy. What did you mean, Joey, when you said you're goofy?
So there was a time in my life when I was goofy.
Come on, you gotta explain.
dot.
And I don't know, is that figuratively or
I was
literally?
goofy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut that one out. It's definitely going on one of my reels.
Yeah. So
Time of my life.
there was this internship program at Disney World, right? And after September 11th, I knew I wasn't going to stick in college, so I went ahead and I went after it, the college internship program.
It's a great program, by the way.
It is. If you can get through it without screwing it up. I screwed it up.
How can you screw
And,
that up? It's
oh,
Disney.
man.
You got high standards.
We don't need to
It's
get
the
into that.
second happiest place on earth. Costco's the
Yeah.
first.
All right, so you're a tall guy, and they said, all right, you go in the into the line for the tall guy costumes, and one of which was Goofy, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, we'll go. That's.
We'll go with that.
So you spread joy amongst however many thousands of young people, and I want to draw attention to just what a humanitarian you are for that.
I'm thinking of Johnny Bravo right now and Greg Brady.
Oh man.
Hey,
And
whatever
Johnny
avenue,
Bravo.
whatever avenue you can.
A very good friend of mine met his wife at the Disney internship, and I was actually the best man at their wedding, and they got married at the it's not Cinderella's castle, but they got married at Disney World, and they have a wedding chapel there, and it's right in front of the Cinderella's castle. I mean, like everything else Disney, it's like 10 out of 10, everything they do, but unless you've got a nauseous Goofy.
Yeah. No.
Anyways,
no,
we can
just
move on
avoid
from that.
one.
Maybe we want to give our contact information or something.
But yeah, you so Joey Mathews,
At goofy.com.
the VA loan nurse. I still remember the autograph.
There it is.
Yeah.
I do want that autograph now because I think I still have our kids' Disney autograph books.
Nice.
Do you give out
Oh,
autographs
my
ever?
God.
Do I?
Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
ever had to do
always.
that?
You don't understand the crowds that I have to beat off. You know, when it comes over here and stuff like that, it's crazy. I gotta have a baseball bat
If
with me.
if this were satellite radio, I would go somewhere, and I'm not going to do it because Devin, I
I
appreciate your
muted
time.
myself.
And
I
I don't
had to mute myself.
Amen to that.
I'm going to censor. Okay.
Let's go around the horn real
Yeah,
quick. Give us some contact info. I know Joey did already. Patrick, please.
Yeah, all right. Patrick Loftus, real estate lawyer, Loftus Law. You can reach me at show@thehomebuyer'shour.com. That's right. We have our own URL. Someone email, please. Other than, people trying to steal my identity. You can reach me on the socials at Loftus_law. That's LOF like Frank, T like Tom, US like Sam _law on Insta. At Loftus Law on TikTok. Come find me. Come follow me. Make me feel special. Engage with me.
And then Olin, please.
All right, so again, Olin with @Properties Christie's. Olin is OLIN, and so my email address is olin@atproperties.com. My Instagram and YouTube at Olin Sell Chicago, and website is olinsellchicago.com.
And Joey, I know you gave us a little bit, but just hit it up again one more time, please.
Yeah, Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd. You can find me on the socials. Is at the VA Loan Nerd. You can find me at the VALoanNerd.com. I'm actually building out a real website with it now and everything.
Yay.
You can call or text me at 630-235-2405.
4 o'clock in the morning. Remember, call Joey anytime.
I'll be there. I'll
next
be
time,
there.
Next time he's in the studio, he's gonna absolutely kick my.
Oh, you know he is.
Well, I'm gonna be there in 2 weeks. I'll be there in 2 weeks.
I'm
All
in
right.
You
trouble.
gotta keep in mind with my business, I do work at 4 in the morning sometimes because I'll have clients that are overseas.
Yeah.
in the veteran community. So it sucks, but it doesn't suck. I like helping.
I like to hear that. And again, my name is Charlie Bellefontaine with Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our phone number is 312-544-9180, and our website is thehomeinspectors.com. And we also own Home Inspection University of Illinois. That website is HIUIL.com, Home Inspection University of Illinois. And Olin, you're kind of unique, or you being the real estate agent as a group, all right? So when I assume that you're going to have some friends, you're going to have family members, you're going to have personal acquaintances that know you personally, and that you're going to maintain those relationships with you. But what percentage of your clients never met you before? That they started calling real estate brokers and they chose you. And then my next question is going to be why? Why did they choose you?
I would venture to say that probably 80% of my business comes from direct referral from past clients, friends, connections. And that 20% is kind of going to be a mix of what you're speaking about. The people who just find my name, or the people who are interviewing agents, or my marketing, because I really am trying to build that brand. Olin is such a unique name. There is no other Olin in real estate in Chicago. I'm trying to build that as just the name to call. I'm never going to be the biggest agent in Chicago, but I do want to be one of the best and one of the most knowledgeable. So my plan is to just continue marketing myself. And I have a number of people who say, I found your bench on the street, or I saw your advertisement here, I saw you in this magazine. I take that as an opportunity to let them get to know me. I don't know if they're interviewing other agents, but as we said, there's a potential that they are speaking with multiple people. And I believe that the reason people choose me, Charlie, or the reason they're thinking to choose me, is just because of the fact that I'm actually an implant to Chicago. I've only been here 19 years.
Why would that be a good thing? I would see that as a negative.
Well, because I've learned the city. You're right, it could be. A lot of agents will say born and raised and know the Chicagoland like the back of my hand. That could be very true. There's also something about learning Chicago and learning how things. I've been a renter here. I've been a buyer here. I had to explore the neighborhoods. I didn't grow up in Portage Park and get to drive those streets as a kid. I had to learn that myself. So I take it as a badge of honor that I've made a name for myself in the city, because I'm from the South, and I'm now one of the top agents in Chicago because I've worked my tail off to get there. And I think it's a great thing to share with people. And they can then look at my stats. They can look at testimonials that clients write. They can look at numbers, which is not something I promote all the time. But I'm very happy with what I've done in my career and the happy clients that I've made. And I feel like that's what a lot of people look at. Inevitably, they could, look online and find a myriad of different agencies to work with.
There's a lot of them.
And choose. And also, I love the company I work for. I love the backing that my company gives me with regard to the marketing and technology and things of that nature that help when I'm working with a client. So I hope that clients will ask those questions. When Patrick meets people and sends this engagement letter, I'm also having to do something similar where it's like, this is what I can do and what I can offer you. You have the opportunity to work with me. And that's my chance to meet new people and make more connections within my sphere.
Interesting. No,
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And it's not easy. This is a hard business.
If you had to tell somebody, to ask certain questions to, because
Yep.
let's say you're not going to get the gig,
Yep.
right? They're going to hire somebody else, but we really don't want them to hire some unethical people. If you're going to hire a person who's decent and I lose the job to them, I'm like, okay, I shrug my shoulders. It is what it is. Life goes on. However, there's some unscrupulous people out there. There's some real bad actors that exist out there. What would be some of the things that you would share with somebody to watch out for?
Well, I have lost out the opportunity to work with people, and they've worked with, the good companies. And that's just a circumstance of this business, is you're not always going to be the one that they choose. But if I do speak with someone and find out that they're potentially going to be working with another agent or another company that is less than, if you will, I would.
And we don't want to say that. We don't want to,
we don't
because
want
that
to
makes us
degrade
look
that.
bad.
Correct.
Right.
There are a lot of companies out there that the way that they market themselves is a little uncouth, or. But regardless, I would say, ask what the agent and the agency's volume for the whole year. Ask what their experience in number of years. Every agent has to have a first deal or a second deal or a third when you're starting.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be that person's first deal? If it's your best friend and they just got their license and you're like, hey, I'm going to work with you, maybe that's a different story. But if it's the very first time you've ever worked with somebody, I don't know. Sometimes people kind of get drawn into that. I would want to know everything about that person and how many deals they've done and what their success rate is and what their list to sale price ratio. And I'd want to know some of
How do you find that out? How do you know they're not just throwing you a bunch of malarkey?
That malarkey chick. I mean, there are ways you can look up this information. There are websites and there are sources, and one of the things we're taught in this business is to be the source of the source and not necessarily throw people under the bus. But there are places people
Okay.
can find that info. But also, I think in this business you need to be reputable. And Charlie, you always talk about reputation.
Huge.
So the idea is, if I ask you a question, I want you to be honest with me. How many places have you sold this year? How many clients have you assisted? And if
Yeah,
they
you
say,
lie to me, that's it. We're done.
hello, that's exactly
you just
right.
blew that trust.
Yeah,
like there's
I'm
no
asking
tomorrow.
you to put a lot of trust in me for this next transaction. And if people come to me first, then they're likely going to want to be introduced to an attorney and introduced to a lender and introduced to an inspector. So if I screw up from the very beginning and just lie to that person, look what you're setting yourself up to.
If you're having trouble finding someone's production numbers, just reach out to me. I'll get them for you.
Hey, there you go.
All right.
He's the source, right?
No, I might be taking you up on that. I would like to know.
Yeah.
I myself, if I'm going to build a relationship with the real estate broker, and I have some really good relationships. Don't get me wrong, people that I value and I trust, and I think they're wonderful to their clients. But I want to check that out. I don't want to just roll the dice and put my name with their name if they're not going to treat their clients as well as I think they should be treated. And I've seen some pretty crappy moves.
And it
Sorry.
isn't all about the numbers either. That's a
No.
piece to it. But a lot of people today do have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. And you can also look at the kind of person they are
Yeah.
and see them there as well. A lot of personality comes into it. If you feel like you would relate to this person and they would be a good contact for you, there's a myriad of ways people can actually read about you and find out about you. Like Patrick said, my name and number are all over the websites. You could find me anywhere and find my past 12 months of clients, and you can look on any website and see everything I've done. So those of us that are promoting ourselves like that, we want to be found.
I see a lot of other home inspectors that, and they do it on their personal page, mind you, but they start getting into these ultra left or ultra right, comments on their Facebook posts.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. And then they call me up and say, well, the market's so slow and nobody wants to work with me. Nobody wants to work with you because they disagree with your political opinions. Keep them to yourself.
That's exactly right.
Or
you're
because
running
no one
a
likes to
business.
work with Eeyore.
With who?
Eeyore.
Oh my God, the donkey with the tail. Yeah, life is so bad, we're all doomed. Oh my God.
Give me that guy. That's who I want to work with.
Sorry. No, that's all perfect. You just made me remember that one time we went to Disney World. Since I'm still on that track on it.
Hey.
We walked into, because we were there for a convention, and I walked into the convention area for the business suite, and they had a question up there. It's like, well, what's listed above Winnie the Pooh's house? In other words, what's his address? And my middle daughter, or Jackie, she goes, oh, that's Mr. Sanders, And then she said it in the softest voice, but the lady behind the counter heard it, and all of a sudden she got a nice prize out of the deal. But anyway, you just brought back a good memory, Joey, so for that I thank you. You know where it comes with it. But
Still spreading joy.
it's still spreading joy. Yeah, no, there's a lot of good memories like that. But Olin, again, do you have a lot of this stuff pre-written? Did you ever actually come up with the why choose me, or things to think about, or what's good, what's bad?
I've had some amazing agents in my life that have been like mentors to me, and a lot of people, and we have an accountability group and we share things back and forth. So no, I absolutely did not come up with it. A lot of stuff is recycled, and I just kind of came up with my own like mission value statement that I will send out to people. But I do have a little list that I will email new buyers that when we first meet, this is about me, this is how long I've been in the business, this is what I can do for you. This will likely happen, this will not happen. It's basically just an expectation list all the way down.
Yeah.
And like Patrick said, I don't know how many people actually read it, but I've taken time to put it on paper and send it to people so that it's never going to be one of those things that when it happens, I'm like, see, I told you, go back to line 12. But it's the idea that I have presented all of the information up front. I would just rather people know from the very beginning everything about me, the process, the expectations.
Yeah.
And I do a buyer consultation before I meet with you and go out and look at property. You're never going to just meet me at a property, shake my hand for the first time and walk into a house. That will not happen. We are always sitting down or on Zoom in today's climate, meeting, talking, a good 30, 45-minute consultation before we go out. And I think
people are
that's
really
necessary.
getting used to Zoom.
I mean, it is easy. Does everybody love it? No.
It's a great tool.
It is a great tool.
It doesn't replace,
Negative.
100% the in-person experience. And I don't think, perhaps that is something that will be generational where, there was a certain, I don't know where the cutoff is, but there was a certain generation of people that, to use email it was a non-starter. I mean, there's still, you still get some of these, septuagenarian lawyers who have their secretary.
That's a 5-syllable word. I don't know what it means. Yeah.
It means they're 70 plus.
Okay.
They have, their secretary print out their emails, or they have an AOL.com email address, or an SBCglobal.net, or all of those are just it's not.
My
great.
wife has an SBCglobal.net.
But
I don't know what to say.
Is that her professional email?
No.
Right. So that's the big difference here. Is I'm not emailing these guys like memes.
Yeah.
I'm emailing them on an official, in business context. It's not like well, anyways, you get the weird uncle stuff where it's just like, really,
I mean, that's a really fair point, and I don't want to open up a can of worms, but if you're working with another agent or another attorney and their email address is Illinois Realtor Olin at Gmail, do you take them in a different way than you would take them if it was a professional company email address?
There's like
that's not my email. Please, nobody email me there.
It's like
the other Olin just took all your business.
Yeah, he just got all the. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if
But
everyone,
I think it's available. I'm going to grab it right now.
I started something now.
let's say everyone starts at sort of an 80 as far as like how serious I take them. You never want to underestimate anyone. There are certainly very talented and qualified lawyers that use, let's say just the Walmart type domain names for their email addresses, meaning Gmail, AOL, Yahoo, whatever. So I don't necessarily just write that person off because
CompuServe?
that's I have seen that. I'm not kidding. This year,
No way.
I wish I was joking. Or maybe it was Prodigy. It was one of those. I was just like,
Prodigy. No.
I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, is this a mistake?
I'm like, bruh. And yeah, I know why it is, right? Like, they're not ignorant. These are, people who have been lawyers for, 30, 40 years, most likely. And I'm sure the fear that they're going to lose that sales funnel and they don't understand about email forwarding. So it's like, all right, fine. But, so to get back to the point, so if to me, if you have one of those, if everyone starts out at an 80, let's say, reputational, how serious I take you, you've lost a couple of points with that domain. And then if you send over a really ham-handed attorney review letter, you're going down a little bit. Or if the attorney review letter is quality, you've gained some points back. But to me, I don't want to get dinged points, from a reputational perspective, at least within that transaction, by showing up with an email address that looks unprofessional.
No, I don't blame you at all. I actually wrote all this stuff down. And because most of
you're
our
a boomer.
business, because I'm a
You would
boomer.
write it down
I would.
on paper.
I think I'm the last year available of a boomer. My wife makes sure she reminds me of that.
Are you still doing inspections on paper, or do you use a...
No, but I have reviewed them
And look,
on paper.
Let me just out myself. I have a notebook in front of me with a pen.
I'm
So
super
let me
old school with
rephrase
stuff like
what
that.
I
Yeah.
said, please.
I'm teasing
what I
Charlie,
did.
but,
Oh, I
you
know. But just to replace, what I did was I wrote everything down on my iPhone. All right, because I use a computer that is handheld, and in the notes in there I have all that stuff pre-written. I get asked the same question over and over again. My biggest problem is everybody thinks home inspectors are commodities. We're all the same, no matter who we get. And the only thing they're looking for is get a price. And then also a review. Oh, he's really good. Okay, why? Again, go back to the 2-year. Why is he good? What makes somebody good? Is it because they're not an alarmist? That's one of my favorite things I hear from real estate agents. I'm like, an alarmist is just a malarkey word. I'm going to use that word as many times as I can today.
I'm going to buy Charlie a malarkey flag so we can just start chucking it around the
want
studio.
it. I'll be waving it
Just like a
back and
whiteboard,
forth
just keep
here.
checking it off.
It's going to be the rest of my days designing the malarkey flag.
I think that's awesome.
I get fixated on projects like that. This is just my, my ADHD brain. I go, ooh, that looks like fun. Like I did a. Here I go again. I created an aquarium out of a Menards bucket on my balcony. That thing was my sole fixation for 5 straight days. It was just going out to Menards and picking out the different, and then I gotta go to the store to get the aquarium plants, and then which fish am I gonna get? And I got these little LED things. It's so cool. But the LED things are crapping out, so I gotta figure out a solution there. But I've got fish on my balcony, and
Wow.
I love it.
Don't leave them out there all winter, whatever you do.
Yeah.
It's just, aren't they okay? It's the whole
sure
thing.
they are.
It freezes in a block,
Yeah.
sort of like Ted Williams' head.
Or if
And then they're
somebody
gonna
drowns in cold water, we could still revive them.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
just-
All
we
we gotta
just
do is warm them up first.
Throw them in the
reanimate.
microwave.
That's it. Yeah, just like Disney. All right. Did I just hear a microwave?
Yes.
Oh my
I
God,
wanna
we're
make
going
sure.
downhill.
I mean, if we're talking about
Do
Menards
not
bucket
put
aquariums,
people or fish in the microwave.
just throw the whole ice piece in there.
I'll show you.
Unbelievable.
Can you
It's in the
imagine?
freezer.
But getting
Why
back,
is the microwave dripping?
just getting back a little bit because we are getting to the end of this hour. It does go quickly when we act like a bunch of malarkians.
Malarkians.
Absolutely. But no, for our company, we take our reputation seriously. Just this morning, I went into nerd mode, and I started adding up the reviews that we have on the different social proof area. And we just hit, I think it was 1,868.
Wow.
All right, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
We're getting about 50 a month is what's being added on to these things. But that's one of the reasons why people call us, but that's not why they choose us.
When do you ask for the review? Is it immediately after the inspection is over so it's fresh, or do you let it sit for a day?
I am dumb. I do it when we start. All right, I do it in
Before
the
the
very
inspection.
beginning when we do it, and let me clarify that. All right, so we offer a discount, what we call our photo upload discount.
Yep.
All right, and we explain to people the reason why we do this is when everything's said and done, after the payment, you get the report. There's no duress on you. We're asking you to leave a review. All right, we're going to put it out there. We want all of our clients to leave a review for us. We're not going to wait until you're happy and pick and choose who's angry and who's not. We're going to let you know that we are that confident in our people, our process, our report, and what we do that we know we're going to exceed our clients' expectations. And they write these big, long books. And then that's part of the way that we prove that it's real. That, and then we ask our clients to take a photo of our inspectors doing what they do and post that photo to Google, Yelp, or Facebook. And, if you think about it, it's dumb because...
I personally love it. I
This
think
guy
that's,
SEOs.
But it's
I
dumb.
think that's smart.
It's dumb because how do you motivate another human being? You piss
Money.
them off. Not money. Money is a short-term, slow motivator. You scare them or you make them angry. All right? Think about how often you leave reviews. Most people don't. But if you're ticked off at a company or a business because of the way you were treated, that's going to motivate you to do something. If we did that, we would end up getting a lot of negative reviews. We don't have any. The worst we have is 2 3-star reviews. All right? Well, I take that back. 2 4-star reviews, 1 3-star review. And that 3-star review was strictly because one of our inspectors, he decided to go grab a kitchen knife out of the seller's house so he could free up a stuck drain plug. That was say that 10 times. That was hard. And it was a mistake. It was dumb. It was bonehead. The listing agent who was there saw it happen, asked him, he told her. He didn't think much of it at the time, but she blew up. And in that market, when this happened, it was the sellers had all the power. When we go back a couple years ago, the buyer didn't want to take a chance at losing the deal. You don't want to upset the seller. We never want to upset the seller because angry people are difficult to negotiate with. So that's one of the things that puts us above everybody else. But like I said, we are getting short on time, and I could bloviate about that forever. But I think we need to give one last...
the malarkey side.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're going to put that right underneath there. All right? It's a fantastic word. So if you don't mind, guys, give me one more time, Olin. We'll start with you. If people have questions on real estate. And by the way, Olin, let me just come right out, and I don't think I say this to just about everybody, but I do value you. All right? I do like the way you treat clients.
Thank you.
And I don't say that to a lot of people.
Well, I've been calling you Uncle Charlie for a while, so I'll just say thank you, Uncle Charlie. It's been great to work with you over the years.
Next thing we're gonna come out with $2 Chuck, somewhere in there. There's a good thing.
I think it's up to $4 Chuck now.
Inflation.
It might be. All right, so again, Olin with At Properties, real estate advisor. Contact me via email, olin@atproperties.com. Phone number, call or text 312-771-1328. And on all social medias, Olin Sell Chicago.
Patrick, please.
At Loftus_law on Insta, at Loftus Law on TikTok, show at thehomebuyer'shour.com.
And Joey, please.
Goofy.
Oh, gosh.
You can find me at DisneyWorld.com.
Oh, my goodness.
Goofy. Joey Mathews, the VA Loan Nerd, theVALoanNerd.com. Across social media is at the VA Loan Nerd. It's the VA Loan Nerd if you haven't figured it out. 630-235-2405.
And thank you, Devin Tingle. Again, my name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I'm out.